Welcome to StoryPath English. We unlock English fluency through surprising stories and easy-to-grasp ideas. Did you know Netflix once offered to sell itself for just $50 million and got rejected? Let's dive into the full story. Imagine a time, not so long ago, when watching a movie at home was an event that required planning, a trip, and a bit of luck. It was the late 1990s, a period when the internet was still a clunky novelty for most households, and television reigned supreme as the centerpiece of home entertainment. If you wanted to watch a movie that wasn't airing on cable or didn't happen to be in your personal VHS collection, your options were limited. For most people, that meant a pilgrimage to a video rental store, most likely Blockbuster, the undisputed king of the rental game. Blockbuster Video was a cultural institution. With its bright blue and yellow signage, it was a fixture in strip malls and suburban neighborhoods across the United States and beyond. Inside, the stores were a labyrinth of shelves packed with hundreds, sometimes thousands, of VHS tapes, and by the late 90s, DVDs. The process was simple but ritualistic. You'd wander the aisles, scanning titles, hoping the movie you wanted wasn't already rented out. New releases were especially coveted, often snatched up within hours of hitting the shelves. If you were lucky, you'd snag a copy, pay a few dollars, and take it home for a couple of days. But there was a catch: return it late, and you'd face a fine. Those late fees were the bane of every renter's existence, a small but nagging penalty that could turn a cheap night into an unexpected expense. This was the world of home entertainment in the late 20th century, physical, inconvenient, and dominated by a single giant. Blockbuster wasn't just a store, it was a gatekeeper. It controlled what movies people watched, how they watched them, and how much they paid for the privilege. For years, it seemed invincible, a monolith of the analog age. But beneath its dominance, cracks were forming, cracks that a small, unassuming company in California would soon exploit. In 1997, two friends, Reed Hastings and Mark Randolph, were kicking around ideas in Silicon Valley, a place buzzing with the energy of the dot-com boom. Hastings, a tech entrepreneur with a background in software, and Randolph, a marketing expert with a knack for spotting trends, weren't thinking about revolutionizing television. At least not yet. Their focus was narrower: how to make renting movies easier. The story often told, though sometimes debated, is that Hastings was inspired by a personal frustration. A $40 late fee he'd racked up at Blockbuster for returning Apollo 13 overdue. Whether that anecdote is entirely true or a bit of polished lore, it captures the essence of their mission. Late fees were a pain point, and they saw an opportunity to eliminate them. Their idea was deceptively simple. What if you could rent DVDs without ever stepping foot in a store? What if, instead of driving to Blockbuster, the movies came to you, delivered straight to your mailbox? At the time, DVDs were still a relatively new technology, having debuted in the U.S. in 1997. They were smaller, lighter, and more durable than VHS tapes, making them ideal for shipping. Hastings and Randolph envisioned a service where customers could order DVDs online, receive them by mail, and return them whenever they were done. No late fees, no rush. On August 29th, 1997, they launched Netflix as a modest startup in Scotts Valley, California. The name itself was a nod to the internet's growing potential. Net for online, Flix as a shorthand for films. In those early days, the operation was small and scrappy. The website was basic, the DVD catalog limited, and the team worked out a cramped office. Their first shipment went out in a plain envelope, with Hastings famously testing the concept by mailing a CD to himself to see if it would arrive intact. It did, and with that, Netflix was born. At first, the world didn't quite know what to make of Netflix. The idea of renting movies through the mail sounded odd, even impractical. Why would anyone wait 2 or 3 days for a DVD to arrive when they could drive to Blockbuster and grab something instantly? Blockbuster's model was built on immediacy. See it, rent it, watch it that night. Netflix, by contrast, required patience, a trait not always in abundance among movie-hungry consumers. There were other hurdles too. In 1997, the internet was still in its infancy for most people. Dial-up connections were slow, and online shopping was far from mainstream. Amazon had only started selling books a few years earlier, and e-commerce was seen as a niche experiment. Convincing people to trust a website with their credit card information and to wait for a physical product to arrive was a tall order. On top of that, Netflix's initial pricing model wasn't much different from Blockbuster's. Customers paid per rental about $4 per disc plus shipping, with a due date for returns. It was convenient, sure, but not yet revolutionary. The turning point came in 1999 when Netflix introduced a subscription model that would become its hallmark. For a flat monthly fee, starting at $15.95, customers could rent as many DVDs as they wanted, one at a time, with no due dates and no late fees. Once you finished a movie, you mailed it back in a prepaid envelope, and Netflix sent the next one on your list. This queue system, where users curated their own lineup of films online, was a stroke of genius. It gave customers control and eliminated the pressure of deadlines, turning movie watching into a leisurely, guilt-free experience. Slowly, word spread. Early adopters, tech-savvy folks who liked the idea of skipping the store, signed up. By 2000, Netflix had about 300,000 subscribers, a tiny fraction of Blockbuster's millions of customers, but a promising start. The company was still losing money, burning through cash to build its library and infrastructure, but the concept was catching on. People liked the convenience, the freedom, and the growing selection of titles. Netflix wasn't just a rental service anymore. It was a new way of thinking about entertainment. As Netflix gained traction, Blockbuster watched from its throne, unperturbed. At its peak in the early 2000s, Blockbuster had over 9,000 stores worldwide, 60,000 employees, and a market value in the billions. It was the undisputed leader in video rentals, a household name synonymous with movie night. To Blockbuster's executives, Netflix was a quirky upstart, a mail-order gimmick that couldn't possibly threaten their empire. After all, who would choose waiting for a DVD over the instant gratification of a store visit? In 2000, Netflix's leaders approached Blockbuster with an offer. Hastings and Randolph, aware of their company's financial struggles, proposed a partnership. Blockbuster would buy Netflix for $50 million and integrate its mail-order service into their business. Netflix would handle the online side, while Blockbuster kept its physical stores. It was a chance for Blockbuster to dip its toes into the digital future without abandoning its core model. But Blockbuster CEO John Antioco reportedly laughed at the idea. $50 million for a company that wasn't even profitable? It seemed absurd. Blockbuster said no, confident that its dominance was unshakable. That decision would go down as one of the great missteps in business history. Blockbuster underestimated two things: the power of convenience and the speed at which technology would change consumer behavior. While Blockbuster clung to its brick-and-mortar roots, Netflix kept innovating, refining its service, and building a loyal customer base. The $50 million rejection wasn't just a missed opportunity. It was the beginning of Blockbuster's slow decline. The early 2000s were a turning point, not just for Netflix, but for the world. The internet was evolving fast. Broadband was replacing dial-up, making online experiences smoother and more reliable. Video streaming, once a pipe dream limited by bandwidth, was becoming a real possibility. Companies like YouTube, launched in 2005, showed that people were hungry for instant video content. Netflix saw the writing on the wall. The future wasn't in DVDs, but in digital delivery. In 2007, Netflix took its biggest leap yet. Alongside its DVD by mail service, it introduced streaming, a way for subscribers to watch movies and TV shows instantly over the internet. At first, the streaming library was small, a mix of older films and lesser-known titles, but it was a game changer. No more waiting for the mail. If you had a decent internet connection, you could hit play and start watching. The subscription price stayed the same, blending DVDs and streaming into one package, giving customers the best of both worlds. The timing couldn't have been better. By 2007, Blockbuster was starting to feel the heat. Its revenue was slipping as more people turned to Netflix and other alternatives like Redbox, a kiosk-based rental service. Blockbuster tried to fight back, launching its own mail-order service and even dabbling in streaming, but it was too little, too late. The company was saddled with debt from its massive store network, and its attempts to pivot felt half-hearted. Meanwhile, Netflix was lean, agile, and focused on the future. Streaming wasn't just a new feature, it was a paradigm shift. It turned Netflix from a rental company into something closer to a TV network, delivering entertainment directly to screens. As broadband spread and smart TVs, gaming consoles, and mobile devices became streaming ready, Netflix's reach exploded. By 2010, it had 20 million subscribers, and Blockbuster was on its last legs. That year, Blockbuster filed for bankruptcy, its empire reduced to a handful of struggling stores. The giant had fallen, and Netflix had helped topple it. Killing Blockbuster was just the beginning. Netflix wasn't content to simply replace the old rental model. It wanted to redefine entertainment itself. In 2011, the company made a bold move. It split its DVD and streaming services into separate plans, a decision that sparked backlash from customers who liked the all-in-one package. Subscriptions dropped, and the stock price tanked. Critics called it a blunder, but Hastings saw it as a necessary step. DVDs were a dying medium. Streaming was the future. The split forced Netflix to double down on digital, even if it meant short-term pain. The gamble paid off. As streaming technology improved and the library grew, subscribers came back and brought friends. But Netflix's next move was even more audacious. In 2013, it released House of Cards, its first original series. Starring Kevin Spacey and directed by David Fincher, the political drama wasn't just a show, it was a statement. Netflix didn't air it week by week like traditional TV. It dropped all 13 episodes at once, pioneering the binge-watching phenomenon. The show was a hit, earning critical acclaim and proving that Netflix could compete with Hollywood heavyweights. House of Cards was a turning point. Suddenly, Netflix wasn't just a platform for watching other people's content. It was a creator, a studio in its own right. Over the next few years, it poured billions into original programming. Orange is the New Black, Stranger Things, The Crown, and countless others. It made movies too, like Roma and The Irishman, earning Oscars and challenging the theatrical model. By giving creators freedom and leveraging data on viewer preferences, Netflix crafted hits that resonated globally. This shift had a ripple effect. Traditional TV networks, once the kings of storytelling, scrambled to adapt. Cable subscriptions declined as cord-cutting became a trend. Why pay for 200 channels when Netflix offered endless choice for less? Studios like Disney and Warner Brothers launched their own streaming services, but Netflix had a head start. It wasn't just killing Blockbuster anymore. It was reshaping the entire industry. Today, Netflix is a colossus. As of 2025, it boasts over 250 million subscribers worldwide, a far cry from its humble DVD days. Its catalog spans thousands of titles, from Hollywood blockbusters to niche foreign films, all available at the tap of a button. It operates in nearly every country, tailoring content to local tastes. Korean dramas like Squid Game, Indian thrillers like Sacred Games, Spanish hits like Money Heist. It's not just an American company. It's a global one, fluent in dozens of languages and cultures. The numbers tell the story. In 2024 alone, Netflix spent over $17 billion on content, outpacing many traditional studios. Its market value hovers around $300 billion, dwarfing the $50 million blockbuster once scoffed at. The company that started with a single envelope has become a cultural force, its red logo as recognizable as Coca-Cola's or Nike's. But Netflix's rise hasn't been without challenges. Competition is fierce. Disney Plus, Amazon Prime, HBO Max, and others vie for viewers. Rising subscription costs and password-sharing crackdowns have tested customer loyalty. And as it leans harder into originals, some critics argue it prioritizes quantity over quality, flooding the platform with forgettable fare. Yet Netflix keeps evolving, experimenting with interactive shows, live events, and even gaming, determined to stay ahead of the curve. Looking back, Netflix's journey is a tale of vision, timing, and relentless adaptation. It started with a simple idea: make renting movies easier. That spark ignited a revolution, toppling Blockbuster, dismantling cable TV, and rewriting the rules of entertainment. It killed the old way of watching, physical stores, rigid schedules, limited choice, and built a new one: instant on-demand everywhere. The irony is that Netflix didn't just kill TV, it became TV, or at least a version of it. It's not the TV of rabbit ears and 3 channels, but a modern, boundless iteration that fits in your pocket. It's a testament to what happens when convenience meets technology and when a small company dares to dream bigger than the giants it challenges. Blockbuster's empty storefronts are a relic now, a reminder of a bygone era. Netflix, meanwhile, streams on, a DVD company no more, but a titan that reshaped how we watch, what we watch, and who gets to tell the stories. From a mail-order experiment to a global empire, it's a story of disruption and a warning to anyone who thinks the future can't come knocking at their door. Thanks for joining us on StoryPath English. Here's a quick tip to speed up your learning. Listen to stories daily. It'll make English feel natural in no time. Keep practicing, stay consistent, and fluency is just a story away. Like this video if you learned something new, subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next adventure